welcome back to the Let's Talk Sports Show on Callan 105 FM with Jamie Davies, Conor Porter, and Joe Stanley. Now, we have to start the show with this because it was big news on Friday morning when, of course, all the media revealed that Arsene Wenger has, well, not retired. He is going to leave Arsenal.
You're lying already in your intro. That's not good.
I didn't, did I?
Yeah, you said he was retired.
Did I say he was retired? Oh dear.
It
just feels like he's retiring though, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Because of how, because of how old he is, but how many years he's been at Arsenal, and you just feel like, what else has he got to prove? But anyway, well, he is going to leave Arsenal. It could be going to another club come this summer. But, it is a bit of a shock. But, the fans have been talking about it for a few years now. We have been seeing a lot on YouTube, including that YouTube channel, Arsenal Fan TV, which has done wonders in terms of viewership. And
they're out of business now.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are they going to do? What are they going to do when Wenger leaves? I felt sorry for their host, Robbie. He'll be wondering what's he going to do now.
Good lad, Robbie is.
Yeah, imagine if they win every game now. No one's going to watch their reactions because they'll all be positive. But anyway, what do you think about this, Conor? Because I guess, like I just said, the fan reactions on Twitter, that hashtag of Wenger out was a trend at one point, and it was everywhere, and funny jokes, funny pictures, you name it. It's. Do you really think like the fans of what they've been saying has gone into this and made Arsenal think about Wenger's position? I feel like their influence might have changed it.
See, I don't think this is Wenger's decision. I think this is the board bringing in a new change into the football club. Been there for 22 years now, but really over the past 10 or so years, it's only had 3 or 4 FA Cups. Not a lot of success really brought into what is considered one of the best football clubs in England. Yeah. And, you see Tottenham now, they're on the rise with Pochettino. Of course, in the past 4 years, they haven't won a trophy, but they've got closer to winning the league than what Arsenal have done, despite the fact that, Arsenal finished second and whatnot. Because, in truth, be honest, Tottenham have only really slipped up. It's never been Arsenal playing better football. It's been Tottenham slipping up, and that's the reason why Arsenal's always managed to finish ahead of Tottenham in some of the recent times. But, you can't ignore what Arsene Wenger's done at the football club as well. Most successful manager at the football club over the years, the 22 years that he's been. 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups, 7 Community Shields, if you want to count them. But, only Fergie's won more Premier League games than him in the Premier League history. So, you can't ignore what he's managed to do at Arsenal Football Club. But when you look at the situation and you look at the timing and you look at how it was dealt with, the way that it was approached to by Arsene Wenger, it was pretty much out of the blue. Didn't feel like it was planned. Didn't feel like it was organised whatsoever, because the media team, if you watched on the day, the Arsenal media team, they really didn't have a lot of content ready to go straight away. No. And if it was a pre-planned decision, that maybe they would have been given a heads up like a day before so they could prepare all this stuff. But it was like a good 2 or 3 hours before they started posting out videos and pictures of old Arsene Wenger press conferences and things like that when he first arrived, and like some of the key signings like Vieira and Henry coming into the football club. So looking at how it is, I think that this is definitely a decision by the board to move him on. They've addressed it like it's him leaving the football club out of respect. The Sun as well said something like he's been paid off 11 million to not see out the last year of his contract.
I've never heard of that newspaper before.
Because
disgraceful paper.
Because he ultimately wanted to stay on. There was no reason for him to leave, especially if they go on to win the Europa League this season. Obviously now times have changed and the Arsenal Football Club need to catch up with the rest of the pack. All right, because of United and Chelsea and City and Liverpool now with Klopp, how they've managed to build some sort of structure underneath him at the football club there now. They need to change to the times around them, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of appointment that they make, because this will be the first appointment of Stan Kroenke and I forget who Ivan. I forget his name. I know it's Ivan Vasilidis. That's the one.
An important guy either way.
Yeah. Two of the biggest names now at Arsenal Football Club are those 2 guys, and they're building the future now for this football club. It's going to be one without Arsene Wenger. It should be one without Arsene Wenger for the next couple of years in order to give the new manager a chance. Because if you're giving Arsene Wenger like a director of football role, it's not going to really be much change around the football club, I don't think. Who this new manager is going to come in and be like, it's hard to think about at the moment, because we've had no clear indication as to what Arsenal wants really from them as a board. It's been a lot of names been talked about. Luis Enrique from Barcelona, Brendan Rodgers from Celtic, Ancelotti, who's out of work at the moment, Thomas Tuchel, former Borussia Dortmund manager, Diego Simeone as well at Atletico Madrid, who are Arsenal's next opponents in the league. He's been linked a long time now. Yeah, and if they got someone like Simeone, and that would be a complete different change of culture, because he is not like Arsene Wenger one bit. So this next appointment for Arsenal is arguably the biggest decision that they'll make in the last 22 years.
Joe, it's funny because when it was announced, it did feel like, well, it was never expected, because when Arsene Wenger's been at the club in the last few years, we just thought he's never going to go unless he goes on his terms, and that's what it's felt like. But and Connor's absolutely right. You know, his legacy in my eyes will never be a bad one because of what he's done. He's not just changed Arsenal; he's changed English football as well.
Of course, but it's always going to be tarnished a little bit with the way it's ended with the fans. To be honest, obviously, I do think they were a little bit over the top with their protests. All right, they've not been as good as they should be, Arsenal Football Club, but this should have shown Arsene Wenger a lot more respect, in my opinion, than the fans.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because you look at, I mean, they keep comparing, don't they, Wenger and Fergie, because they were long-term managers for two successful clubs. But you didn't see that at Man United, did you? You didn't see protest against Fergie. Okay, he was successful most of the time, but, you know, there was patches.
I think that's the reason why. Just for the fact that Fergie was able to be consistent over a long-term basis, whereas for Arsene Wenger, it was mainly up until around about 2007, 2008 when things did start to drop off a little bit.
And that's just when the stadium
move, because that took a lot of their budget out, really. It affected how they performed in the early part of the years.
Couldn't sign anyone.
It wasn't really until when they signed Ozil that they really looked like they could potentially get back into the picture, but nothing really followed up after that. And that was one of the main reasons why Arsenal were in the picture that they were, which is why this appointment is so important for not only for Arsenal Football Club, but for the manager coming in as well. They need to know from the board that they're going to get the financial support that they require in order to inset their vision to the best of the ability that they're allowed to. Because if you're only bringing in a player that's going to not do a decent job as what a top player in that position could do, and you're talking about a football club like Arsene Wenger looking to, not Arsene Wenger, like Arsenal, trying to get back into the Champions League, and they're only bringing in bit part players, then it's not good enough. And you know, it's definitely going to be a change of scenery now at Arsenal, because there's a lot of players at that football club that were Arsene Wenger buys, and they're not going to be suitable for the next manager that comes in. But it's an interesting job pick, that's for certain. And the new manager that comes in is going to need at least a year to get his ideology in, because of how long Arsene Wenger's been there at that football club. 22 years and setting in his way of thinking, his way of playing football. You need to give that new manager at least a year, maybe even two, to decide how he wants to play and how he should move on Arsenal Football Club moving forwards, and to get them back into Champions League football for starters if they don't get to the Europa League final this year or win that trophy. And then ultimately onwards from that would be back to competing for the title.
Thing is, I love it when they say give these managers time, and I agree they do need to get given time. Moyes sadly didn't get that time at United.
That is the worry, really.
But I can't see there being time if it doesn't go right for them.
It is the worry, because you want success. Arsenal, you want success straight away. Arsenal ultimately is a bigger business football club than Manchester United, because United's on the stock exchange, so they don't have owners, in a sense. They have chairmen and the Glaziers, and they decide where the money goes and that. But they don't essentially have owners, because it's all coming in.
They don't just do windows.
Stock exchange. So, yeah. Whereas Arsenal's a bit different, because they do have owners and they do have fans say in it, but they don't have a lot of money pumping into that football club. Whereas United's now just got around to spending that money to get back into that picture. That is the main concern for me, is whether or not Arsenal will start to spend money to compete. Because if they don't, then they're not going to be anywhere near the title. That's the sin.
I mean, Joe, when you look at it, it's surely, I mean, I don't know if you're just like, well, I am. I think Conor is as well. Where do you feel, since Wenger is going to leave, do you want them to win the Europa League now? Because this is the perfect setup. This is the perfect way for him to leave Arsenal. Because last year we all thought he was going to go after he won the FA Cup against Chelsea, you know, their biggest rival in London, and winning the trophy that Arsene Wenger was the most successful with. Now he's going for a trophy that the club's never won before. So surely, many England fans, depending on if they're Arsenal fans, we would love to actually see Wenger end it all on a high.
Yeah, it's one of those, obviously, for Arsene Wenger, it'd be nice for him to win it, for them to win it, because obviously the previous European trophy was the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah, and that was a very long time ago.
Yeah, a very long time ago.
Before Wenger.
I don't believe the club deserve it, personally,
you
the
don't?
club itself, but Arsene Wenger does himself. If that makes any sense. That's how I look at it.
I like how you said that, yes.
Wenger
Yeah.
himself deserves it, because what he's done, how well he's managed Arsenal all these years, the loyalty, because he's had plenty of opportunities to go. There's been rumours of Barcelona interested in him, Real Madrid, PSG. England national team wanted him at one point.
Yeah.
He said no to all of them, and he stayed at Arsenal Football Club. As David Dean said, the former chairman on the TV the other day, he lives for this football club.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now when he leaves? Apparently he's had David Dean's had phone calls from various big clubs. We will see who that is. Gary Neville was saying that they've already got the replacement lined up, he believes, for Wenger.
Oh, really?
And in place, they're just not going to announce it until end of season.
Oh, that'll be
It makes me
interesting.
wonder who that's going to be.
Yeah, I agree with that point because, of this timing, it's once again the timing issue of how this situation's been dealt with.
Do you think even before this Wenger announcement, do you guys believe that the club has been speaking to who?
Absolutely.
Already.
Absolutely.
Clubs
Yeah.
always do that. They always talk to other.
Really is a backstabber, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's how clubs.
But when you got a
make
guy
things
left,
lined up.
sorry, Joe, when you got a guy left with 1 year on his contract and he's not been doing too well over the past few years, and you've already got the fans not behind him whatsoever, he's a club legend.
And empty seats.
Yeah, he's a club legend. Show him some respect, which is what the Arsenal board has done by allowing him to address the situation as I'm going to leave and not be sacked. Because if he said no, then 100% guaranteed they probably would have sacked him at the end of the season, and it wouldn't have been the end into
especially when they've got that backup as well.
Yeah,
yeah. It is a strange situation, but I mean that's the thing with Arsene Wenger. It's actually, you mentioned the England job.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day. I honestly feel though, if Southgate doesn't do very well, because they won't.
No.
Sorry, England I can see them not even making the knockout stage. That's how much I have confidence for my team. But I honestly think Gareth Southgate could go, and if Arsene Wenger was available, give him the job.
I honestly don't know how much different he would be though from Southgate.
I just football-wise, massive.
Well, the problem is, it's not like England's another Premier League side, is it? They could easily share stuff with him, and you've got coaches constantly that do international and club level football. I'm pretty certain at one point Gareth Southgate's had a talk with Arsene Wenger, especially with the form of Jack Wilshere, and looking at the likes of Callum Chambers potentially breaking into the squad at one point, and Danny Welbeck.
You nearly said Oxlade-Chamberlain.
I nearly said Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I was going to say Alex Iwobi as well, but I remembered that he was Nigerian. But he nearly got called up for England at one point. So he's definitely had talks with him at least over the past few years whilst he's had the job. So I don't know how different it would be. And if anything, it might be more of the same of what we had.
I'd feel. I would say this now as an England fan. I'd be excited if it did happen.
Don't get me wrong. Arsene Wenger, what he's managed to achieve, I'll be looking forward to what he can do, but I just don't think it'd be that different.
I think big name appointment, though, isn't it? You look at the top nations; they always have big name managers.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I remember when Fabio Capello happened. And
Fabio Capello was a big appointment.
But my problem was with the whole thing was that he couldn't speak English. So straight away I thought, how is this a communication thing? I know people can say translators, he'll learn English and all that, and I'm just thinking that's not the point. The point is that we should either have an English manager or someone from a different country that can speak fluent English and is proved to be successful.
My problem with Capello was he was too busy buying tomato ketchup and not focusing on the team.
Oh, he was rubbish. I'm sorry, he was absolute rubbish for England. I mean, we got absolutely tarnished. We couldn't even beat USA, couldn't even beat Algeria in the World Cup. I'm sorry. And we only just beat Slovenia to make it to the knockout stages, and then we got knocked out by Germany 4-1. It was one of the worst managers we ever had. And I felt ashamed, actually, because this is why I'll say this now about overseas managers. Yes, I'm open to it. But bring in someone who actually has done English football as well. This is why I always say Wenger could be a good one because he knows English football. Mourinho's done it as well.
you'd be
Pep
interested to
Guardiola's
know.
now getting experience in it.
Jose Mourinho was very close to taking the England job.
He
When
was.
they gave it to Fabio Capello. I was reading his book before he was United manager. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was Mourinho.
Hey, he tried to steal your Gerrard, remember?
Yeah, he did try to steal our Stevie. And he was saying he was a matter of weeks away from getting the appointment, and then the FA basically turned around and made some sort of comment about picking the players, and he was like, well, I want to be in charge. I want to pick the players. I'm not having this. So decided to turn down the opportunity, and they went for Capello because it was him and Scolari that were the two choices.
Scolari, yes,
and
I
then both
remember.
of them turned England down because the FA were saying, well, we want our say on the players. And they turned around and said, but the manager's job is to pick the team. The manager's job is to pick the players and to do the tactics, not, oh, you tell me to pick this player, so I have to pick him. And that's the problem with the FA. They're like yes men, and that's the problem with Gareth Southgate. He'll
I mean,
don't get me wrong, he's a nice guy and stuff, and he's not a bad manager, but he's just going to do whatever the FA say in the summer.
Yeah,
if they say pick Jack Wilshere, despite him being injured, like Roy Hodgson did.
You see, that's the thing, because I do have I mean, we could go on about this, we will have to cut it short, but I do have a lot of respect for Southgate, in which he has tried out new players to the team. He's looking.
Think about the fact that he brought in three at the back. I mean, what kind of manager is he? That's why I don't think he'd be that different from Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I mean, well, all I could say is for Southgate is that he's tried out players already, which is good to see. Whether or not it works out, we'll find out in the summer. But I mean, don't worry, we'll be talking about the squad selection on Let's Talk Sport when that happens.
As he said at the PFA Awards last night, Manish or whatever it was, who was been
the host.
He turned around and said to him, "Oh, no Pizza Huts this year, trying to take the mick." And Gareth Southgate's response was, "When you've made as many mistakes as I have in my lifetime, you just stop worrying about it." He said, "I've told the players in the summer, go and express yourself, enjoy yourself, and let's see how far we can go." He said, "If you fail, you fail. It's part of life."
I mean, I'll add to that because that's how I feel as an England fan going into this World Cup. I'm not expecting anything. It is one of those. Anyway, we could talk about it all day. From Arsene Wenger to Gareth Southgate here on Let's Talk Sport.